Welcome to Texans Today, everybody. I'm your host, Jeremy Chuggs, and coming up on the program today, we're looking at day 5, the first padded practice of Texans training camp. Left side, strong side. We're going to be breaking down everything going on at Texans practice today. Let me know if you know that reference down in the comment section. The real ones know. I know the real ones know. And we're also looking at some players who have impressed so far throughout the offseason, during training camp, even going back to minicamp and OTAs. These guys are some people who you might want to keep your eye out for, who are going to make the roster or possibly be starting for your Texans, making an impact this season. I have 5 of them, or maybe a little bit more. I'll get into that later on in the program. But first, the first news and note of today, season tickets sold out for the Houston Texans this season. All of the season tickets that they were selling are officially gone. I mean, from a couple of years ago, I remember my mom and stepdad had season tickets to the Texans 3 years ago. I believe it was in 2021 and they had them in 2022. And they were dirt cheap and they were not a lot that were sold. And look where we are now, just a couple of years later. I mean, sold out completely. That is insane. I mean, I saw so many videos, so many photos from the first day of training camp where it was open to the public, open to the fans. And people were there at 4:30 in the morning. Ruben Gomez, my homie on X, he posted a video of being there at 4:30 in the morning, and it was packed with Houston Texans fans. So I got to know from you down below, one word to describe how you're feeling about this team going into the year. I mean, elated, excited, overjoyed. All these words are applicable, but let me know your one word for this team going into this season. Going on to some more news and notes from today. This coming from Aaron Wilson on X. He said Nico Collins and John Metchie did not practice today, and it turned out to be like an off day. Nico Collins not injured. He was still involved in all the wide receiver drills that they were running today, but I believe it was just like an off day just because they had been, putting in that work the past couple of days. Also, Christian Harris, Joe Mixon, they did not practice today as well. Along with some more news from the NFL, our AFC South rival, Jacksonville Jaguars. They're just handing out free money this offseason to every single person on their team besides Calvin Ridley, it looks like, because they just inked a deal with Tyson Campbell. 4 years, $76.5 million, $53.4 million guaranteed, the largest contract ever for a corner not named to a Pro Bowl. I mean, wow. They are, already with the Trevor Lawrence, he's tied for the highest paid quarterback in the league right now. Then they pay Tyson Campbell this huge contract, the former second-round pick out of Georgia, which, he's a good player, but should he be paid like he's a top corner in the league? I don't think so. I think he's good, but I don't think he's, top money good for the corner position. So some interesting news from the Jacksonville Jaguars. They're still making some waves. I don't know. I'm going to still go with my statement that I said earlier this offseason where I think the Colts are a bigger threat to the Texans than the Jacksonville Jaguars at this point. But, a lot of that rides on some of these key young guys like a Trevor Lawrence, like a Tyson Campbell, to really have great years for Jacksonville. I still am leaning more towards the Colts being a bigger threat, but Jacksonville continuing to make some moves during this offseason. Now, coming up, some players who have impressed me so far during training camp. I'm going to tell you who those guys are in just a moment. First up, it's got to be Stefon Diggs. Stefon Diggs, and we already knew that he was an amazing player. We already knew of the skill level that he could bring to this team and how good of a player he is on the field, but he has become an instant leader for this Texans team. Every day during training camp so far, he stayed late to help somebody, one of his teammates, either on the offense or the defense. He was, helping John Metchie the other day on his get-offs and his releases. He was helping Kamari Lassiter after practice today, helping him, showing him some ins and outs with some of the receivers. He has been right there helping every single person. Tank Dell, Nico Collins has said, Stefon's just come to them throughout practice and saying, hey, I noticed you're doing this. This is what I usually like to do. Or maybe you can try it this way. Really helping out all the young guys on this team, trying to bring everybody up to speed and trying to make everybody on this team that much better. And Stefon Diggs, if he's locked in, if he's focused, and we can get some of these numbers that he had in 2022, in 2021, in 2020, watch out for the rest of the league, because if we get that version of Stefon Diggs, not that he was bad last year, but if we get like the 2020 version or the 2022 version of Stefon Diggs, and he is that effective for this team, CJ Stroud's going to have a field day picking apart NFL defenses. Coming up, I have some more names who have really impressed me so far, but the app that impresses me the most, and it continues to impress me every single day, it's Game Time, the best ticketing app out there. Go check them out today. I've been using Game Time for a while now, and it's my go-to ticketing app for sporting events, concerts, and comedy shows. This year, I went to Shane Gillis, Dave Chappelle, Drake, and Adele. I've also gone to a couple Astros games as well using the Game Time app. I'm telling you, if you have a significant other, it is the best app out there for date night. You can check out all the stuff going on around Houston, around whatever city you live in. They give you up-to-date pricing, all-in pricing, and it is the best out there. You can buy tickets in 2 seconds with just 2 taps. Game Time has deals on tickets right up to the start of the event, and even an hour after it starts. It's the place to find last-minute tickets. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Download Game Time today. Last-minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. Next up, Jacob Phillips, the linebacker, has really been impressing me so far. And not to pat myself on the back, but I said that this could be a guy that really, really shines during camp and really proves himself and earns a roster spot on this team. I talked to our Browns host, Matthew Peterson, about Jacob Phillips because he's a former early round pick by the Browns, and he said one thing. When he's on the field, he will impress you. He is really, really good. The only thing is, he hasn't been on the field a lot during his NFL career. He's been injured a lot, but so far during training camp, he's been turning some heads. This from Cole Thompson, who works for Texans Wire. He said, Jacob Phillips makes a really nice PBU in the flats against the running back. The Texans need another linebacker for some packages. He's on the short list of standouts outside of Azeez so far at camp. So Azeez has been lighting it up. I mean, we all knew LB1, Azeez Al-Shire, one of the top, free agent signings for the Texans this offseason. He's been impressing for sure, but a little bit more under the radar, and somebody that we really need to keep an eye out for is Jacob Phillips out of LSU. He could be, one of those guys who steps in and is like a 4th, 5th linebacker on this team, or maybe he even usurps Henry To'oTo'o for that 3rd linebacking spot on this team. As we look at the depth chart, Christian Harris been injured throughout training camp so far. That's another biggie for Jacob Phillips. If Christian Harris is injured, he can step in and really help this team out. But like I said, Henry To'oTo'o going into his 2nd year out of Alabama, it's not a given that he starts for this team, and he still needs to prove himself. And if Jacob Phillips looks better during training camp, during the preseason, he can definitely earn that linebacker 3 spot. So I ask you folks at home, who do you think is going to win this battle? Do you think it's going to be Henry To'oTo'o type HT, or do you think it's going to be Jacob Phillips type JP? I'm going to go out on a limb, and I think it might be Jacob Phillips. I like Henry To'oTo'o. I think he can be really good. I don't know if he's quite there yet. I think he can still really help, be a sub linebacker, come in on certain downs, also help a lot on special teams. But I like the promise of Jacob Phillips, especially if he can stay healthy for the Texans. I think it could be a sneaky signing that we all look back on in November and December and being like, damn, how did the Texans sign Jacob Phillips? Next up, Kamari Lassiter, the rookie out of Georgia. And if you've been watching the show, if you've been following this show, if you've been following the Texans this offseason, you know the Kamari Lassiter hype has been real. He has been just, the talk of the town so far on the defensive side of the football because everybody was wondering who's going to start opposite of Derek Stingley. We know Stingley, he's a top 5 cornerback in this league, in my opinion. No doubt, no worries about him. But who is going to start on the other side? And it looks like it's going to be Kamari Lassiter. And I just have to say, this quote from him today at practice, this gives me even more reassurance that Kamari Lassiter is that guy. He is that dude. This is what Aaron Wilson had to say. Texans rookie corner Kamari Lassiter has drawn a lot of praise from DeMeco Ryans and older teammates like Stefon Diggs and Derek Stingley Jr., but he's not entirely satisfied with how he's performed. I feel like I've got a long way to go. I have a lot to learn, a lot to work on. So even though he's been really good at training camp, at minicamp, at OTAs, he is still striving for more. He's still saying, hey, I know I look good so far, but I know there's going to be bumps down the road, and I'm trying to prevent as many of those bumps as I can. So I really love the mindset. I really love the tenacity of Kamari Lassiter to say, hey, I know I've been doing really well. I know the hype is around me. I need to prove the hype right, and I need to go out there and work even harder. That's why, like I said earlier, Stefon Diggs, he took Kamari Lassiter aside after practice today and was helping him. He was, showing him some pointers. And that's exactly what you want to see out of your young guys. Looking to the older players, looking to the leaders on this team, and trying to get better every single day. And Kamari Lassiter, he has definitely been doing this. And I know I said 5 players, and this is where I'm going to kind of cheat a little bit. I just think the tight ends have looked really good so far in camp as well. I mean, Dalton Schultz has looked good, but really the 2 guys behind him, I think have looked fantastic so far. All the highlights, all the, stuff I've heard coming out of Texans camp, they've looked really good. Brevin Jordan and Cade Stover both have performed well. I mean, DeMeco Ryans said whenever he wants to show his players, show everybody in the locker room how he wants them to practice, he shows them video of Brevin Jordan. And Cade Stover today, he had an amazing catch over the middle from Davis Mills. He's looked really good, running routes. I saw him getting some work in with some guys for footwork in the offseason, doing some stuff in the sand as well. So Cade Stover trying to make an impact on this team. And like I said, Brevin Jordan, he's in a contract year. Last year of his deal, of his rookie contract, he's going to want to show out. Brevin Jordan is going to want to have a career year. And I'm excited for it. I'm here for it. I'm all good with Brevin Jordan being the tight end 2 this year. If he wants to prove himself, if he is going to go out there and work his tail off like he has been every single day, give me Brevin Jordan at tight end 2, and I'll let Cade Stover come in on certain downs and kind of learn, because I think Brevin Jordan has a lot to prove this year, and I have a feeling like he is going to do that. Lastly, Calen Bullock, another rookie, the safety from USC. And it comes on the tail of this report and, kind of the reports coming out of training camp around Jalen Petrie. And that he's playing mostly in the nickel, mostly in the box, playing that slot, DB position, not playing in the deep safety whatsoever during camp. So much to say also, Jalen Petrie isn't playing deep. It's either Calen Bullock or it's Eric Murray. And Calen Bullock has been making tons of plays so far during camp and OTAs and rookie minicamp. I'm really excited to see what he can do. There's a reason why the Texans traded up in the 3rd round to select Calen Bullock. He is an athletic freak, and for what the Texans need him to do, I think he fits perfectly for their needs. I mean, they needed a guy on the back end who is long, lanky, athletic, and who can defend the deep ball. That's what Calen Bullock does best. He's not as good in run support, and he's not as good, playing in the box, coming down. But playing a deep safety, playing that center fielder, that's where he strives. So I really think that the addition of Calen Bullock and allowing Jalen Petrie to kind of play more in his natural position of in the box and kind of like nickel and dime sets like that could be a big plus for this Texans team. Calen Bullock, the last guy who I think has really impressed me so far during camp. That's all I have for you for today's video, folks. You can always hit me up on Twitter at Jeremy Chuggs, and make sure you hit that subscribe button for daily Texans videos all off season long. Going into the regular season, we got you covered with up-to-date Texans news and rumors every single day.